Today, 5th grade, we're going to be talking about line plots. That's what our focus is going to be on this week. So you guys are going to learn about plotting data and answering different questions based on the line plot. Just to start off, this is a line plot. The free throw statistics is the title of this line plot. The baskets made, that is this axis title right here. We talk about our different fractional pieces down here, 1/10 of the baskets, 2/10 of the baskets, 3/10 of the baskets. This over here, the X's represent the number of players that are on the team. So when we talk about this is talking about different free throws and how many each basketball player made. So their coach asked them to try 10 free throw shots, and they had to count how many they made out of those 10. So this player right here only made 1 out of 10 shots. There were 2 players that made 3 out of 10 shots. There were 3 players that made 4 out of 10 shots. 1 player who made 5 out of 10 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players who made 6 out of 10 shots. 3 players who made 7 out of 10 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players who made 8 out of 10 shots, 5 players who made 9 out of 10 shots, and 2 players who made 10 out of 10 shots. When we also talk about line plots, we can talk about different questions that you can answer based on these data points that have been plotted. One of the questions that you might be asked is how many players are on the team? Well, again, it tells us right over here that the number of players on the team are represented by the X's. So for that problem, all I would have to do is count the X's up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So therefore, there's 32 players on this basketball team. Another question that could be asked is, what is the most common number of free throw shots made? So again, we're looking for the one that has the most X's. And on this one, we've already said that there was 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 players made 8 out of 10 shots. So 8 out of 10 is the most frequent number being made. That means that most players on that team can make 8 out of 10 free throws. We can also talk about how many players made less than 6 out of 10 baskets. So we have to find 6 out of 10. And I underlined it right there in red. And the question is asking us how many players made less than. Well, when we think about less than, we have to look at our line plot and know, are we going to go to the left or to the right? And if we look, our fractional pieces get bigger to the right. So that means that we're going to be looking to the left. And there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are 7 players that made less than 6 out of 10. Now some of you guys may be wondering why I did not include the X's that are above 6/10. Well, the question asked us how many players made less than 6 out of 10. So therefore, I'm not going to include 6/10, I'm just going to include less than. The question might say how many players made 6/10 or less baskets. Then I would have to include the X's that are above the 6/10. Another question may be, what is the difference between the most number of free throws and the least? Well, I have to identify what is the most number of free throws made. And it looks like 2 people down here made 10 out of 10. So 10 out of 10 is the most number of free throws made. Well, then I have to look at the least. The least is not going to be 0 because there's not any X's above 0. So I cannot include 0. But if I move one place to the right, I see that one person made only 1/10 of their free throws. So they probably were having just a really bad day. So when I go back and look at this question, it's asking me for the difference. And by now you guys should know that the difference means subtraction. So I'm going to have to subtract these 2 fractions. So 10 over 10 minus 1/10 When I subtract my numerators, 10 minus 1 is 9, and then we have 10, so therefore 9/10 is the difference between the most number of free throws made and the least number of free throws made. Another question could ask, how many more players hit 9 out of 10 shots than 7 out of 10? So I need to identify how many players hit 9 out of 10 shots. So I go over here and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There were 5 players that made 9 out of 10 shots. Now, I have to see how many players made 7 out of 10. 1, 2, 3. Now, I have to figure out the difference between those two. So again, it's just another subtraction problem. 5 minus 3, which equals 2. Okay? We can also identify that some of these fractions on here can be simplified. Other questions might ask us how many players made 1/5 of free throw shots. And we need to know that 2/10 simplified is the same thing as 1/5. Okay? 4/10 would be 2/5. 6/10 would be 3/5. 8/10 would be 4/5. And 10/10 we know is just 1. Anytime that you have the same numerator over the same denominator, that just equals a whole number. Okay? Make sure and let your teacher know if you still have any other questions about answering questions using data on line plots.